less stall, more ball, fewer infractions. This begins in 2020. The future is near. More access, more everyone, more everything.
March 13th,
This is our
2019,
moment. Our
show
story
number
to
6.
tell. This is history begun. This is the XFL.
What is up, my friends? Welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I am your host, The Mark, and on this week's show, how much money has the WWE made off of the XFL? And the XFL hires a new manager of football operations. We'll get to that and so much more. Welcome back to the show. Now, how do you get in touch with the show? You email podcast@xflnewshub.com with your MP3 or thoughts, or use on Twitter the hashtag XFLWIR, and cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays if you want to get in with the show. Remember to leave us a review on iTunes. That's how we spread the word, and we'll read it on the next show. Now, the question of the week, we kicked it off last week. We'll bring it back again, but for this week too, is would you like to see Johnny Manziel in the XFL? So email us, podcast@XFLNewsHub. We'll read all of your thoughts about that next week on next week's show. And I just wanted to get to a very exciting announcement that I am sure maybe some of you have, or maybe some of you haven't. And I'm really excited about this. I actually bought my first XFL merchandise. Yes, it's true. DC XFL hat. I will be wearing it with pride. It should be coming this week. I am so excited about team names. Please don't be something dumb on our XFL News Hub YouTube channel. We had a little fun with some names. Apparently, I made a comment, and you've heard it on this show, where I was like, I don't really know down with the AAF names, the Commanders, or the Boats, or Tugboats, or whatever the heck the names are. Not a big fan. So I'm really hoping the XFL has some good, especially, all the XFL names need to be good, but really the DC name needs to be really good. I'm more concerned about the name than I am about who's the quarterback going to be or any of those other things. I need to know that the name is cool on the coolness scale. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting, I wind up buying my XFL DC hat. I can't wait. I'll take a picture, post it on the Facebooks, Twitter, and you can all think I'm really cool. But I can't wait to wear it. I'm curious to see what people's reaction will be if I'm wearing an XFL hat. And hey, it's just really at its infancy compared to the AAF, which is running, seems to be doing fine. They got their money. I think everything is cool. I've tried to catch some of their stuff. So we have a year of with the XFL, the buildup. So it'll be really interesting to see how people react with the hat now versus a year from now versus 3 years from now, and hopefully 5 years from now. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. So, you're wondering how much money the WWE has made off the XFL so far. We know there's a little synergy going on. So in December of 2017, there was rumors about Vince McMahon would bring back the XFL. And then early in January, McMahon made it official the XFL is back. The league is not owned by the WWE or Vince himself. Instead, it's entirely owned by something called Alpha Entertainment. So it really kick-started this whole, hey, something's going on. Vince created Alpha Entertainment. Rumor has it that it was for the XFL. So Alpha Entertainment / the XFL, they also share office space with WWE in Stamford, Connecticut. So the new XFL is completely different from the first version, which was co-owned by NBC and WWE. McMahon established Alpha Entertainment to separate the XFL from the WWE this time around completely. That doesn't mean the two companies won't work together, and they do. And I've seen this firsthand when I was at the DC press conference for head football coach Pep Hamilton. I saw guys with WWE jackets, and I was like, I want one. So there was the intermingling between the two. So this is also evident, not only me being at the DC press conference, but also in SEC filings as well. We're not talking SEC football. We're talking Securities and Exchange Commission, Wall Street. Okay, people? Just in case there was a little ambiguity of that. In the filing, they just noted how much money it was exchanged between WWE and Alpha / the XFL, and it detailed the arrangements between the two companies. So McMahon created and owns a majority of Alpha Entertainment. This entity owns and operates the Professional Football League, the XFL. Under the arrangement, WWE received, among other things, an equity interest in Alpha without payment. I'll read that again. WWE received, among other things, an equity interest in Alpha without payment. So WWE didn't pay. WWE didn't get any money from equity in Alpha. WWE sold certain intellectual property rights related to XFL to Alpha for the payment of $1 million. And WWE entered into a support services agreement under which WWE provides Alpha certain administrative supportive services on a cost plus margin basis. During the year ended in December 31st, 2018, Alpha was billed approximately $1.3 million for services under the administrative supportives agreement, of which $474,000 was due at the end of the year and subsequently paid. So basically, WWE has a little arrangement with Alpha Support Services, of course, also acquiring the XFL brand, if you will, instead of selling it to AAF. Again, AAF wanted $50 million for the XFL. Vince sold it to his Alpha Entertainment for $1 million, so that's fine. So in summary, WWE sold the property rights to the XFL to Alpha Entertainment for $1 million, billed $1.3 for Alpha for administrative support, and Alpha paid $474,000 so far for that. So the XFL does have its career section on its website, but WWE also has job postings for XFL positions on its site as well. This relates to the agreement between the two entities and as the new league's getting going. I assume as time goes on, you'll see a distancing of the resources from the WWE with the XFL as they ramp things up, as they make new hires, etc., building up their staff. The thing that's interesting, though, is remember in the past, back in the day, it was completely meshed of WWE personnel and XFL were basically doing double duty. Vince learned from his mistakes, now has put the money up, said, I want a football league, I want you to bring the XFL back. Oliver, take it over, and the rest is history as we go to February 2020 and kickoff of the new league. The XFL back office continues to grow. This time, a member of the Penn State football staff is leaving the university. Justin King has been hired by the XFL to become its new manager of football operations, an XFL spokesperson told Penn Live. King spent the last 2 years as an assistant recruiting coordinator for Penn State Nittany Lions. I have some friends that are Penn Staters. Yay. He will work under Senior Vice President of Football Operations Doug Whaley, the former general manager of the Buffalo Bills, the XFL spokesperson said. Penn State coach James Franklin said, this is a tremendous opportunity for Justin and his family, and we couldn't be more excited for him. There you have it. King was one of Penn State's first ever 5-star recruits and also a all Big Ten selection in 2007. Played offense and defense for the Lions as receiver for the 2005 team that capped its season with an Orange Bowl victory. He started his last 2 seasons as a corner and later played in the NFL for 6 seasons. Again, another football guy coming in, working underneath Doug Whaley. All good there, building up their staff as we hit the spring football game. All right, we'll be back with your social media stuff and messages right after this. There is only one place that you can get all your XFL news. That is xflnewshub.com. We go all the way back from the beginning of time for the XFL all the way up to today's stuff, where you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. All those locations to get all your XFL news. We are your number one source of XFL football news from now all the way until February 2020 kickoff. So stick with xflnewshub.com for all your latest information. Follow us on all the social medias. That's xflnewshub.com. Remember it. Write it down. xflnewshub.com. All right, we are back. Not a lot of news coming this week. As of this recording, we have yet to hear anything about any XFL coaches being hired. There's been no messages whatsoever. I would assume something is going to happen later on in the week. Stay tuned to XFL News Hub for that. Anyway, on to your social media stuff and email first. Seth Breeze says, hey, XFL News Hub, when y'all going to announce team names and logos? Again, I am not the XFL. I appreciate it. But looking for end of March, beginning of April, is when we should get team names and logos, something I am super excited about, as you are. On to the Facebooks. One of the articles out there was by Yahoo Sports saying, Oliver Luck, we can't compete with the NFL. We'll complement the NFL, which is an interesting take. So we asked, do you agree with this philosophy? Christopher said, sure you can. NFL has been and will continue to be on the decline. Don't bow to anyone. NFL, they're spring football. NFL is winter football. But could they take a shot at some of that money? Absolutely. And that's what this is about. There is nothing wrong with being the third favorite football thing behind the NFL, college football, and the XFL. If you're third, you're making money. Remember, arena football has been around for a long time, and I assume is still around. No one talks about it. Maybe they do. Maybe I don't even know if there's an arena football website. I'd be curious. I'll have to do some research on that. So there is a spot for it. They're not going to no one's going to overtake the NFL, at least anytime soon. 10, 15 years from now. I mean, remember, they have teams in the stadiums where NFL teams play. On to our article of last week. Johnny Manziel was back on the field after the CFL ban. Lots of thoughts on him. Josh says, good luck with that because the XFL doesn't allow players with a criminal record, so it will be AAF or bust for Johnny football. Daniel said he will sell tickets if he can be any good. Chris says total flop. I am with Chris on this one. I don't think he played that great in the CFL. However, somebody messaged on the YouTube, so you can go check out some of the comments that people made on there. Brought up some points about his stats wasn't as bad as what you'd think it was. The mark and be nice to him, etc. On NFL potentially loaning of players to the AAF could create some legal problems, which could impact the XFL. So there was some talk about potentially the NFL would loan players to the AAF, and that could be feasible. It really was not feasible between injuries, so many other issues. Sam says, no, it won't draft players out of the college and high school. David says, the AAF has been angling to be bought out by the NFL since day one. They won't be a bad thing at all except for the XFL. Again, they're not going to be bought out by the NFL, but NFL has definitely wanted to have another league. Remember, they went to try to do it in Europe for a while, and that just didn't work out. I tried to get into it, but letting these other guys, the NFL is seriously looking. They have to be looking at this stuff. And if anything, for the NFL, this is generating interest from their players that potentially if the AAF guys or XFL guys make it to the NFL, there'd be a lot of talk about that. So everybody's just kind of watching and see how this thing is going to turn out, including us. All right, finally, our first emailer, Nicholas, checking in on the email. He says, I would love to see a mixture of young and old coaches in the XFL. Totally agree with that. We definitely should. If I was looking for coaches, I would look for name recognition and innovation, which is clearly what they've done so far. I know the XFL will not get a guy like McVay, but maybe another person like Pep, for example, Chris Wenke, Todd Dowling, Jerry Fontenot, T. Martin, if possible, Joe Woods, or somebody like that. Interesting names out there. I would love to see the XFL get either Rex Ryan, Mike Mularkey, Mike McCarthy, Jack Del Rio, Bobby Petrino, Jim Moore Jr., a sleeper name. What about Paul Johnson? I know he just retired, but he'd be a great coach. It would be great for the league. Lastly, well, first of all, these are some great names he's got in here. Rex Ryan would be very interesting, but I think he's got the TV gig. Mike Mularkey, I've always be like, you're full of malarkey. I don't know, it's a cheap joke. Jack Del Rio would be a good one. Bobby Petrino, he was kind of a little Jim Moore Jr. would be another name, though I thought Seattle would be the spot for him. But those are some great names. Todd Dowling, Chris Wenke would be interesting. I mean, definitely some really interesting names he's got there. Lastly, I want the XFL to take its time to get the uniforms right. I would love to see them do a partnership with Adidas, but I don't know if it's possible. But I would love to see Reebok, Puma, or Champion as well. I would bet to guess that this some of this stuff will come out. I agree. As much as the coaches' names are or whatever, the names of the teams and the uniforms have to be really cool, really innovative. I know I diss on the AAF, but I really think that the AAF uniforms are like Photoshop done like 20 minutes kind of thing. The XFL could really make it something that people are going to wear because that's how you're going to market your league. All right. Thanks for Nicholas for being the first emailer to come in. We appreciate that. And remember, again, not a lot going on this week. I am sure in the next week or two, things are going to ramp up. We have TV deal, name, uniforms, I would assume, more coaches, more staff being hired. This was just a little lull. I think maybe with the NFL free agency period, a lot of talk about that. They didn't want to get in the way. I bet you we might have something Friday, would just be my guess. And this one we'd have no idea. Mark Trestman came out of left field. We still have Jim Haslett out there and some other names. So stay tuned to XFL News Hub for all the latest XFL news. And if you want to be part of the show, just like Nicholas, email podcast@xflnewshub.com. Remember, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. XFL News Hub, working on some more videos to come out there for you. And leave us a review on iTunes. We'll read it on the next show. And you can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Stitcher. Thanks for checking in, folks. Light week. I am telling you, this thing is going to crank up real soon. Thanks for listening. God bless you all, and I will see you all later.